armies significantly bigger than theirs, with fucking elephant, fucking arrow shooting things, and like just armies that just could not object. Like when you look at it, they just could not beat them, and they won. And it's because a specialized army of 300 diehard, loyal, never gonna back down people are going to build a community way bigger and way better, a project way more successful than 1,000 people who don't give a fuck about the coin, right? So the stronger the foundations, which is what we're referring to, the initial distribution is the foundation. The higher that you can build, it's like a house, right? You want to build a big fuck off skyscraper? Well, you have to understand that underneath the skyscraper is a bunch of rods going deep, 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 meters upon meters into the ground, which allows for the building to be built on top of it, right? You look at trees, right? The biggest trees that currently exist in the world, right? That's my tree drawing. I hope you like my tree drawing, right? They have root systems that you could fucking never imagine. Big ass root systems to basically hold up the tree. So if you're a community with a very weak root system, a very shitty initial distribution, you're not going to be able to build very big because you don't have the foundations to do it. Okay? And this is why we use it as a fundamental tool, because if we come across a coin which is small and it only has, let's say, 100 core diehard holders, diehard, absolute ride or die holders, then we have found a very, very promising coin, right? Because what you want to find is this. Let me show you a drawing, right? Let's imagine that a triangle, right? Let's imagine this, right? A pyramid can only go as high as the foundation is wide, right? Eventually, the pyramid curves in and it hits a peak. And the wider the foundation, right, the further the peak can go. So when you find a coin and it has 100 diehard holders, what you're basically looking at is a coin which has this. And you make money by buying the coin here, right, in this region, and selling it when it runs out of new buyers, right? Once it fills the rest of the pyramid in. You want to get into a coin when it's in that foundational phase. You want to get into the pyramid at the bottom, and then as the pyramid gets built, you want to get out of the pyramid before it hits the peak, right? This is how I would view investing in crypto. And so if you find a pyramid which is really weak, let's say the pyramid did a fucking ICO, right? Some ICO and all the VCs got coins and they gave coins to shit people, right? A shitty initial distribution. It's a really weak base of a pyramid. It's going to look like this. And thus the pyramid's only going to grow potentially to here before it would collapse if it went any bigger. Whereas if you find a coin with a really good, proper, fair launch, really great community, super strong, they reward the right people, blah, 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 then it would look like, a really strong base and it would go up really high. Okay? So that's how I would view it. You can only go as high, right, as you can build your foundations. Okay? So let's go back to the community building score. Community building score is a term I just made up. It describes the value add of a particular member to the project's success. The holders, for example, are the main marketers of a project. Without them, you can't scale your growth very far. You need your affiliate marketers, your holders. You want to make the right people rich, as the more holders you have with great community building scores, the better. Like we just said, if you had 300 fucking Spartans, the pyramids has very strong foundations, you can grow it very far. When you make VCs rich, the bad VCs, you are rewarding usually the least valuable contributors to a project. What do they provide? They just basically get tokens and dump them on the market once they get unlocked. They don't do anything, most of them. When you make ICO/IEO participants rich, you are usually rewarding the least valuable contributors looking for a quick pump and dump. So there's these platforms like Seedify, I think it is, right? They basically, you buy their token and you get access to launch pads. Do you think people care about the fucking coins that they buy? Look, live pools, Farcana, you can invest in this. No one looks into the project. They just fucking buy it, and if it makes them money, they sell it. They don't care. Okay, you're rewarding the wrong people. The goal is to make your best holders rich so that they become diehard, soul-locked fans who are ride or die. Okay, the best thing you can do to make someone love your project is to make them a bunch of money. Okay? You want to give them value from making them rich, and they will never fucking leave if you do it right, okay? Like, imagine when you launch a coin, right? You're giving a random sample of 500 people your coins. So are you going to give it to 500 people who are just ready to dump as soon as their coins get unlocked? Or are you going to give it to people who are diehard fans, who are going to basically join the cult? Who are you going to give your coins to, and who's going to give you the most value, right? You can choose 500 super passionate people, or you can reward a bunch of pre-sale flippers. The best communities are cults. You create cults by rewarding correct participation and rewarding those who put genuine effort in, right? In crypto, there's 99% of coins are worthless. The only thing that really matters is the people behind it. When the tech isn't mass adopted, when there's not much you can do, and the only real use case is speculation, the only thing we can really speculate on, it isn't, oh, this thing's getting mass adopted, it's going to get more users. No. The only thing you can speculate on is people. So how big do I think that people can build this thing? How strong is the community? And what might happen? Will they maybe get adoption? Okay? And rewarding the right people sets your project up for the best possible future as you create the strongest community, which aligns the supply and demand dynamics best in your project's favor. The best coins are cults. Now let's look at some examples, okay? Good initial distributions. So Bitcoin, earliest coin, the first coin that was ever made, first cryptocurrency. You got Bitcoin by mining. That's the only way you've ever got Bitcoin, through mining. There's no pre-sale, there's no ICO. Satoshi never moved his coins, as far as we're aware. He never made money off this, as far as we're aware. Everything about the initial distribution was fair, and it rewarded the most valuable contributors, which is the miners, right? At the start of the project, it's the miners. And you can obviously know what the Bitcoin chart looks like, right? It shows you how good it was. Caspar is another great example of a launch. So they did a fair launch at the top of the bull market in 2020. I think that was the top of the bull market, or maybe it wasn't. Yeah, it was the top of the bull market. And they did no pre-mine, right? So the project didn't get any allocation from that. No pre-sale, so there's no VCs. And there's no coin allocation, so there's no like fucking people waiting to dump, right? It's 100% decentralized, open source, and community managed, right? They gave the coins away to the people who were going to be providing the biggest community builder value. I think that's what I called the term from memory. And you can see here the price chart. It's up 100x. This was at the bottom of the crypto market, right? This is the exact... Pretty sure this was like the exact bottom region. You can see that since then it's been up, a little bit down, up, a little bit down, up, a little bit down. And it's performed pretty much every single cryptocurrency besides a couple, maybe like Bonk. It's been fucking ballistic, this thing. It's insane. Why? Well, obviously the tech's good, but a large part of why this has done so well is the fact that it was a fair launch, right? Now, the other part of fair launches that's interesting is when you do a pre-sale, you are basically... Okay, let me show you something. You're going to love this. When you do a pre-sale, right, they do multiple rounds, right? So when the VCs get in, there's multiple rounds of valuation. So the first round might be here, the second round might be here, and the third round might be here. And the line, this little line thing is to show you this is the value of a coin pre-launch. And then by the time the coin finally launches, most of the upside's been priced in, right? So the VCs capture majority of the uptrend through the continually higher raises. And I can see this with a project like Monad, for example. That one's going to launch soon. And I reference this as this was a recent one. Their first round was at $75 million, right? $75 million valuation. And then I think their second round was, I can't remember, but I think it was 300 to 400 from memory. But I don't remember the exact number, but it doesn't matter. So let's just write 3 to 400, right? And then they want to raise it another round, and I think this one's going to be around $1 billion from memory. Now, I can't remember exactly again, but it might be 800 million. It's something around there. But the idea is that this is pre-coin. Most of the upside gets priced in, And by the time the initial distribution occurs, all the VCs have already made all the money. Whereas when you have a coin to a fair launch, right, you are able to get in at this level. Instead of it being a sort of VC exclusive game, the coin launches here and it's liquid immediately, and you get to capture that VC gain. So you can see in the chart, right, over here, Casper went up really well. But if you look at every single VC coin, they all did this before it came out. This was the value of the VC coins before they got a token, through the raises that they did pre-token. So fair launches allow you to get access to coins at prices that VCs were going to get access to them, just simply by being a part of a fair launch. Okay, and that's why these are able to go up so much, because they launch at such more fair valuations, and you're able to get in early at a liquid price publicly. Okay, now let's look at a bad initial distribution. So Blur, I made a bunch of money on this. I made like 100k US plus farming this, and that's great for me, but that's really bad for for this coin's success. Because what do you think I did when I got these coins? What do you think I did when I got 100,000 US of Blur? I sold it all. I sold like 80% of it. Why? Because I fucking made $300,000, and I don't give a fuck about this Blur coin. I don't know what the fuck this coin does. I just know that it's a token of OpenSea, of an OpenSea competitor. I don't want this shit. I don't even know if I like the coin. So I just sold 80% of it. And you can see the price chart here. It went down 90% from here to here. It was an 88% drop. Okay, and this was during a good market, right? The market was going only up with brief pullbacks, but the Blur still went down 90%. That's a terrible distribution. Going down 90% when the market's going up, how shit does your coin have to be? Now, why was Blur so bad? Well, basically, Blur was heavily airdrop farmed, so the people who got rewarded were basically whales who were farming points on the platform, right? And they had a huge cost basis because it was very expensive, because you had to pay ETH gas fees, right? This was on the ETH main chain, and you lost money basically from NFTs that you bought high and sold low. So the whales had to dump it immediately to basically cover their cost basis, right? And as well, there was a second season of the airdrop after the first one, and all the people who were gonna buy Blur were instead farming to get free Blur. So they were all using the Blur platform, right? Buying and selling NFTs to get points, but they weren't buying the Blur token because they were trying to get it through season 2 of this airdrop, because they thought, I can buy Blur, or I can just farm Blur points and get more Blur. But that basically removed all the buy liquidity, right? All the buying pressure was gone. All the people who were gonna buy it didn't, and now the token fucking crashed, right? So now, yeah, you get this big airdrop of 100,000 Blur, whatever it is. Well, now it's not worth much anymore. And as well as this, the initial distribution was a whale game. So who got rich? Well, it's all the whales who don't give a fuck about your project. So if you look at the room of 500 people that you made wealthy, right? These are just a bunch of whales who are going to dump their stack immediately, who don't give a fuck. Because remember, there was no lockup for the Blur airdrop, so you could sell it immediately, right? Okay. So you can understand now why the initial distribution is important. You reward people fairly for providing real value, right? Without rewarding the people who are just going to dump. And you decrease the supply and you increase the demand. Less supply because you reward the right people, they don't sell. More demand because if they're higher community builder score people, they're going to bring more people in through marketing and bring more people in through building cool shit that attracts users. Right? So now you understand why the initial distribution is so important. And when looking for a coin to invest in, if they rewarded a bunch of core diehard holder fans, then the pyramid, if it's early, has a very strong base, and it can be built upon very high above the initial base. And that is a coin you want to look to invest in. So for example, Casper really early would have been a great investment. Okay, so that's the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.